Hey there guys, I'm your resident fantasy therapist. Welcome back to my channel. Those of you here for the first time, hi. My name's Kat Bowser. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm also a writer working on my first 2 novels, one the start of a series and one a standalone. And on my channel I like to talk about the psychology of writing, behind the characters, behind the world. Because to me that's what makes a book and a story interesting. Hey there guys, so I have another book review for you today. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of reading. I'm finally getting around to doing reviews on all these books that I've read. So those of you that haven't seen my book reviews before, I typically give you guys a summary, usually from the back of the book. I give you guys what I liked, what I thought needed work, and what I thought was unique about the story. And then I give it what I call a psychological realism scale. And what that is essentially is a scale 1 to 5 about any specific psychological issues I see in the book. Sometimes it's characterization, sometimes it's an actual mental illness. And I just talk about how realistic I think it was portrayed. So I only give out 5s to books based on real stories or books that were real stories. So the highest you can get otherwise is usually a 4. And as with all my reviews, these are all non-spoiler because I want you guys to read them. So for today, we have Twisted Pages Book 1, and this book is called Of Thorns and Beauty. Look at that cover. Isn't that cover gorgeous? I love this book's cover. And it is by Elle, Madison, and Robin D. Mahle. I hope I'm saying that right. So that being said, we'll just jump right into it, and I will give you guys the summary from the back, and let's go. So, you think you know the tale as old as time, but you've already got it wrong. There never was a beauty and a beast, only a girl who was both, and that girl was me. Zaina will never be free. She's forced into an arranged marriage to Viking King in a castle full of secrets, but she carries secrets of her own and the scars of her haunted past. Handed off from one monster to another, she has no choice but to do her best to survive and protect her sisters, even if it costs her everything. A Beauty and the Beast retelling. So first off, I love fairy tale retellings. I think they're so much fun. So what did I like about this book? Well, I liked a lot of things, honestly. I really enjoyed a lot of the side characters because this is told from, the main character's point of view. It's first person. And I loved seeing side characters through her viewpoint because as she starts to understand them more, her viewpoint and the way she describes them changes. And I love to see that because that's really how we operate, as we get to know people. So I really enjoyed that viewpoint, which those of you that know me is saying a lot because I don't usually like first person. Nothing against it, I just usually don't like it. But this is written very, very well in first person. I also really enjoy just the detailed description in here. It's not too much, but it's just enough that you can see it and you can get a sense of the vastness of this place or how confined it feels, little things like that. And I really think that adds to a story a lot. It can be a tricky balance because you don't want too much description because then it kind of feels overwhelming and you kind of feel like you're drowning in it. But if you have too little, then you really can't picture it. And I think this book really hits that sweet spot in the middle where it's just enough that your imagination can fill in a little bit of the rest, but it's enough that you have essentially a foundation to go off of. So I really enjoyed that aspect. What's something I felt needed work? The main character, a little bit. When we first meet her, we don't know a lot about her past. We discover it as the book goes along. And when we first meet her, she kind of annoys me. She's not necessarily badly written because I get the feeling this was done on purpose. It was written that way on purpose because you get to see her evolve as she goes. And you get to see as she learns and realizes that she's not necessarily being fair in her judgment or viewpoint of people, and you start to see her change, and then she becomes much more likable. But she's almost a wee bit too unlikable at the beginning. I would have liked to see a little more empathy from her. But like I said, it doesn't ruin the book. because you do see her grow and improve as it goes on. But it did throw me off for the first couple of chapters. I'd say probably like the first 4 chapters. I kind of was at that point where, okay, do I keep reading or not? But I decided to keep going, and I'm really glad I did, because the main character is evolving, and you get to see her evolve. But I just think they might have made her a little more likable in the beginning. What's something I thought was unique about this book? The culture in this book. Oh my God, I love the culture in this book, because essentially it's a girl who is taken from a culture she knows and she's put into a Viking essential culture, a Norse kind of base culture. And I love that they go into detail about the contrast. I think the way that the culture is laid out and why they do certain things, how they talk to certain people, I really enjoy that, because like I said, it goes with the description thing. It really puts you in the moment in this book, and so you can really feel what the characters are feeling, because you start to feel like you know this culture. One thing I really like is they do address language, which I love. I love when language is addressed. There's one character who speaks, I can't think of the name of the language right now, but she speaks the language of the main character, but it's very broken. So she leaves out helping verbs and things like that. And that's accurate. Like, whenever I meet someone who does not speak English, one of the things they drop most often are helping verbs, and that's how she's written. And so it felt much more believable to me that, okay, this is someone who doesn't completely understand this language. And I just think it added an extra layer of to the book. So I really enjoyed that. So psychological realism scale, what would I rank this book? So there's a lot of psychological issues going on in here. Some of them are spoilery though, so I don't want to go into those. So I will talk about the culture shock. Like I said, this is a girl that's taken from a culture that she knows, and she's put into an entirely different culture. And I think the way the writers wrote her trying to adapt makes so much psychological sense, because she's viewing everything from her worldview, because that's all she knows. So some of the things that these people do, she's interpreting it through what she knows. And let me give you guys an example of what I mean by that. So when big sailing ships first came to North America, we see them described by some native accounts as big white clouds, because they've never seen sails before. So they're trying to fit this new thing into what they know. And that's kind of what they do in this book. Is there's certain things and there's certain hobbies and routines and things like that that this new culture does that she does not have in her old culture. And so you see her trying to make sense of it, and it just, I love it, because you get her frustration, and you get her, like I said, you get kind of her kind of out of fish out of water kind ofness. But I like that what they did was they don't always have her in the right. And I think sometimes that's what happens when you have culture shock, is you put the character in, and because they're the character that the reader's following, a lot of times they're kind of seen as the correct viewpoint. But I like that this book did not do that. She learns about this culture and realizes that she made some assumptions. They made assumptions as well. And I like seeing them sort through those, because I think that's something very important when we meet people that are different, is we all make assumptions, because that's how we process things. If we don't know something, our brain jumps to an assumption because it's trying to make sense of it. So it's when communication starts to happen that you really see the connectedness kind of start, and I love it. So what would I give it on a scale of 1 to 4? Because like I said, remember, this is not a real life story, so only goes up to 4. I have to give it a 4, because the culture shock is not something I see addressed very much in books. And so when I do see it addressed, I love it when it's addressed accurately. And like I said, when we get both sides, even though we're following one narrator, we get both sides and this realization that, okay, I made a bad assumption and I need to fix it. And here's what I'm going to do to fix it. So I loved seeing that. So overall, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars overall, because like I said, there is that little issue with the main character at the very beginning, but the rest of the book makes up for it. And obviously there's a lot of stuff that happens in this book that I cannot tell you guys about, but I can tell you that it's a duology. There's a second book that I believe came out last month, so I have to get that one and read that one so I can let you guys know about that one. But I do hope you guys will give this one a shot, because I think it's definitely worth your time. So thank you guys for chiming in for my video. I hope you guys found it interesting. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, anything you want me to talk about in the future, leave them below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. If you want to make sure you don't miss when I upload, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified whenever a new video goes up. I put up new videos at least twice a week, hopefully more. And until next time, I hope you guys stay safe and have a good one.